This video was made in association with African Custom Knives. ACK is the leading US-based purveyor of South African handmade cutlery. Head over to AfricanCustomKnives.com for exclusive deals on rare custom knives. What is up, everybody, and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at these Corrie Schoeman folders. We have the Execute, and then I'm not exactly sure the name of this model, but these knives are on loan to us from African Custom Knives. They are directly brought home from me from New York Custom Knife Show, although I don't believe that this one... I know that this one was already in their inventory, and I'm not sure if this one was purchased at the show or if they had it in their inventory as well. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Again, keep in mind, guys, this is going to be more of a showcase than an actual review. I have not carried these knives. They are brand new, and they are listed for sale. So I'm just more here to show you, some interesting details about these custom knives from makers that maybe you're not quite as familiar with, and give you guys some insight as to how they actually function. So the first knife we have here is the Execute. This is actually the Corrie Schoeman of which I have come closest to purchasing in the past. It's been listed on African Custom Knives for, I think, maybe a couple months now. And it's just a really beautiful knife. It's got a super, super cool profile. Just kind of check that out for a moment. You can see multiple pieces of marble carbon fiber in these really aggressive and interesting shapes. We have titanium liners that have been beautifully hand file worked all the way around. This gorgeous Damascus blade with this crazy dual hollow grind that comes into a Tonto recurve shape. Really interesting. And then one of Corrie's signatures is putting little bits and doodads of other things throughout the knife. So you can see here we have some sort of opal or seashell or something inlaid here. And then we have this little jewel that's inlaid into the... can't tell if it's a... looks more like a jewel than a screw, but it's something that's inlaid right here into the tang of the blade. So lots of interesting little details. Now, I imagine that many of you are looking at this going, what in the world are the ergonomics on a knife like this? And that was the main concern that I had when considering purchasing it. And I was really happy to be able to try it out at the show and bring it home to show you guys, because the knife is actually super ergonomic. So what ends up happening here, it does have sort of kind of a banana feel, kind of a banana shape. But I have to say, this little cutout here for your middle finger makes this whole knife lock into your hand in an incredibly confidence-inspiring way. So what we have here is a situation where your index finger comfortably goes in this little rounded section here. Your middle finger comfortably fits tightly into this really deep cutout here. And then, of course, your ring finger fits well into this cutout, and your pinky is left to kind of just relax here on the end. It's actually not pushing up into the pinky too much. So what you have ultimately is a really well curved, the whole curvature of the knife falls into the hand here, and your thumb is able to rest up at the top here. Now, this file work that he's done to the blade, while gorgeous, doesn't really provide any traction, but your thumb does rest comfortably here. And, a big concern of mine would be slipping forward, but that's really not a concern because, again, you're super locked in with your middle finger right here. So it's actually a remarkably comfortable knife. I'm really excited to say. I've handled some other Schoemans. I handled this one and some other ones at the show, as well as one that I purchased as a gift for a friend. And they're not all super ergonomic. Like, I don't want to give you guys the impression that every single one is like this really comfortable thing to hold. They all do have some pretty eccentric shapes. But this one in particular, I have to say, despite its extremely aggressive look, is very, very, very comfortable in the hand. Now, again, this being a showcase, I'm not really sure how the knife cuts, but I am a sucker for Tonto blade shapes, and I really like this aggressive Tonto recurve. It just kind of ties the whole knife together, and I just really like this kind of overall arched shape. It's a super futuristic look while also remaining classy. I really like that it's just kind of a nice combo of a lot of different themes. The knife doesn't have any lock stick, and it shakes shut very smoothly. It's not a total free dropper, but it's very comfortable. Bit of a light detent. And it is, of course, a front flipper or top flipper. You can really pull from wherever you want. You can see here he's got filing all up through the front, so you can kind of get all the way up in the front here. It's a little bit more difficult. You really got to get your index finger out of the way or it'll get stuck, as you just saw there. But it works pretty well. And then you have the option of sort of a top flipper where you can get right in this section here. That works fairly well. And then, of course, you could be all the way as far back as using the very edge here and basically use it as a regular flipper. Now, I really like that about this design, and it was similar on the Schoeman that I bought for my friend. I really like that he kind of just, he makes the whole top of the tang exposed and just gives you file work all the way around. It really gives you the freedom to deploy the knife in any way that you want. You know, you can kind of pick the knife up at an awkward angle and still, you know, be able to deploy it. So I definitely appreciate that. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, guys, it is pretty thin liners, and it is going to be a fairly artsy knife. So probably don't expect to see you bearing down on it anytime soon, but I frankly think that you could if you wanted to. So it's definitely a gorgeous sort of artistic piece. The main complaint with this knife, and the reason I never purchased it, was that it doesn't have a clip. And for a long time, Corrie didn't really do clips. And this was something that the gentleman from African Custom Knives really pushed Corrie on, because the American market very much would prefer a clip. So interestingly enough, Corrie took that feedback to heart. And I think as early as the Knife Makers Guild show in South Africa this past year, that Corrie showed up with some options, and that might actually be where this knife is from. He showed up with some options where he implemented a clip, but he refused to have a traditional style clip interrupt his design. And so you may have noticed now the difference in screws, to where this actual carbon fiber onlay is a clip. Check that out. What a clever idea. I love this. He just, you know, for such a long time he said, no, I don't want to do a clip, because that's like not what my design's all about. And you know, he was patient enough and smart enough to come up with a really interesting way to incorporate a clip directly into his design. So each one is a little bit different. You know, they all have different sort of onlays and everything that he does. He works with lots of different materials on a lot of knives. You can see these are fairly simple for him, actually. Typically not typically, but in a lot of cases he'll do multiple facet onlays with different materials. It looks really cool. Please forgive the gunk that's on the blade. It is 1095 Hammond Damascus, and we've chosen to leave as much oil on that blade as possible because of the humidity issues that I have here. And of course, this knife is brand new and is for sale. So again, pretty smooth. It's a bit of a smaller blade, so it doesn't. It does require a bit more of a shake to get it to close, but it's still super smooth when you do it. And again, pretty optional deployment. This one's a little less optional. If you get super forward here, you kind of get caught. So really, you're just using it as a top flipper. You get right on this edge, and you're able to deploy the knife just fine. Of course, again, beautiful file work all the way through. This one doesn't have an inlay in the back. He does put his name on the inside. So yeah, thanks so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little showcase of Corrie Schoeman knives. These knives are available through African Custom Knives. I believe this one in particular is on the website now, and you should see this one going up with a few others in the near term. If you are interested in purchasing these knives, you could message me, or of course you can message African Custom Knives directly via their email or their Instagram. So thanks so much, guys, and I will see you next time.